There we go. Yeah, my name's not Martha. Thanks everyone for dealing with my technical difficulties today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to give the speaker series presentation today. I'm so excited. We're going to write a poem. Woo! Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you all can see it. Can everybody see that okay? Yeah? Oops, here's somebody else. Okay, go ahead and get started. Okay, cool. So my name is Olivia. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an AmeriCorps Vista here at Oasis. Today, I'm going to give a presentation about how to write a poem about home. So Martha helps me distribute all the worksheets that I made for you guys. So hopefully you all should have one. On the front is the poem that we're going to use to write your poem. And on the back is the worksheet that you're all going to fill out. So I'm really excited. Thank you all for being here. Let me know, the chat should work. So let me know if you can't hear me or you need me to slow down or anything like that, okay? Okay, here we go. So please make sure you have your worksheets and a writing utensil, so a pencil or a pen. Because we're going to write a poem. The poem that we're going to base our poem off of is by a woman named George Ella Leone. So she was a famous poet. She is a famous poet. She's still alive. She was born in 1949 in Kentucky. She wrote several poems. She's really famous for a variety of poems. But the poem she's most famous for is the one we're going to use today. It's printed on your worksheet. It's called I Am From. Since she published this poem called I Am From, a lot of people have used it as a template, so an example for how you can write about home and how you can write about where you're from. This has become a really popular exercise used by many educators all around the country. So I'm going to read you the first stanza out loud. So just the first little paragraph. You have the whole poem printed on your worksheet, so you can go back and read it whenever you want. But I'm just going to read the first stanza out loud so that you can kind of understand what it's going to sound like when you write your own poem. So this is the first stanza of I Am From by George Ella Leone. I am from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. I am from the dirt under the back porch, black, glistening, it tasted like beets. I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm, whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. So that's the first stanza. Again, I printed the whole poem for you so you can read it whenever you want. Now it's your turn. So the way I filled out your worksheet is that I separated each line and gave you directions so that when you fill it out according to what it says, you'll have your very own poem that sort of sounds like the one that George Ella Leone wrote. So I wrote up the directions for you on this slide. I'm going to read them out loud to you so you can understand them, but they're also written down, like I said, on your worksheet so that you can fill them out as you're going through it. So the first line, you're going to say where you're from, where you're actually from. So where you were born or where you live or whatever place you feel like you are from. So that's going to be the name of a place. The second line is going to be the names of some important people in your life. Maybe those are people in your family or your friends or important people that are also from where you're from, whatever you want. The next line is going to be important places in your life. So those are physical places, whether it be your house or important locations where you grew up, or here, Oasis, or somewhere else in Rochester, wherever you want. The next line, ooh, look at this, big words. Ready? A noun, an adjective, or a verb. Okay, a noun, an adjective, or a verb that describes your home. So a noun is a person, place, or a thing. An adjective is something that describes those person, places, or things. And a verb is an action word. So you're going to pick a couple of those words that describe or remind you of where you're from. Okay? Next, you're going to do activities that you do at home. So maybe this is something you do with your family, something you do with yourself. They're just going to be activities that you do at home. Okay, then you're going to be halfway done. Then you're going to say some of your favorite things from home. This can be anything you want. Just some things from your home that you love. After that, you're going to say a tradition that you have from home, maybe a particular holiday that you celebrate, or something you do with your family or your friends. After that, you're going to say a place that you love. So you've already listed some places on the third line. This is going to be another place that is really important to you where you're from. And the last thing you're going to do is a phrase, maybe something that somebody says to you when you're at home, or a value, something you believe that reminds you of home. I know that was a lot of words all at once, but I wrote them down for you. Maybe your teachers can help you. And you're also going to put your name at the top so that you can say who wrote this poem. Okay? I know that's a lot, but I think it'll be really fun and you're going to have a great time. When you're finished, if you feel comfortable, you don't have to, but if you want to, please give your poems to your teachers. Tomorrow, at the end of the day, I'm going to go around and collect them. So I'm going to take them. I'm going to make copies of them, and then I'll give them back to your teacher. So you will have the original, the one that you wrote. I'm going to have a copy so that we can do something with all of your poems. We're having some visitors towards the end of the month, and it would be really a great opportunity for you all to have something that we can show them. But again, you don't have to, only if you're okay with that. I'm going to collect them tomorrow and give them back to you. Okay? That's it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and for participating. I'm going to wait for like a couple minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and ask them. Otherwise, I'm going to just let you all write at your leisure and let your teachers give you some time to write. Does anybody have any questions before I end our meeting? I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat.
Hi, Olivia. It's
Hi, Gina.
And Gina's class.
Hi, Gina's class.
We were wondering, if possible, if you could read that first stanza of the poem again and maybe explain a little bit like what she might mean by some of the things she's saying she's from.
Sure. That's a great question. Thanks, Gina. Okay, I'm going to go back to that slide so we can read it out loud. Okay. Can you borrow it? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, guys. So the first line, she says, I am from clothespins. That's a little, this poem, the original, is organized a little differently from the template that I made you. I have it listed where the first line is where you're from, the name of the place you're from, whereas this writer used an object to describe where she is from. So I'll read it out loud again. But again, I restructured it based on what I thought would be most appropriate for our classes. So I'll read it again and maybe do a little explaining like Gina said, but keep in mind that our personal template is a little different than the original poem, okay? So here's the first stanza. I am from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. I am from the dirt under the back porch, black, glistening, it tasted like beets. I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm, whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. So some of these lines are the exact same description that I listed for you guys, and some of them are different. So for example, the second line, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride, I know that's a big word, it's hard to understand. Those are things. So those are two things that remind the writer of where they grew up and where they were from. Okay? It can be anything you want. Maybe if I was writing this, I would say, I am from, I don't know, coffee and tea. That's a really basic example, but it reminds you of something you might have done a lot as a kid.
Could you give an example and go through the line by line? So
sure.
Use your example.
Yeah.
That might be helpful.
That's great. Martha just gave me a great idea. I'm going to go through the first couple lines and say maybe how I would say it on our worksheet. Okay. So the first line, oops, sorry guys. The first line, I am from, underneath that it says where you were from. So I am from Wisconsin. That's what I would say, okay? I am from Wisconsin. That's the name of the place where I was born and where I grew up. Then the next line, I am from important people in your life. That's the hint that I gave you. So maybe I would say, I am from Pam and Lang. Those are the names of my parents, okay? The names of some people in my life that had a really big impact on me. The next line is something I took directly from the original poet. That's important places in your life. So if I was writing this, maybe I would say I am from supermarkets and school and libraries. Those are some basic places where I spent a lot of time growing up. Does that make sense? Do you want me to keep going, or do you guys kind of have an idea of what you might say? Okay.
If it gets a little.
Sure.
They
Okay.
like the examples.
What, Gina?
They do like the example.
Oh, you like them? Okay, Martha is right. We'll keep going, okay? Just so that you guys can have an idea. Next one, this one's tricky. Nouns, adjectives, or verbs that describe your home. So if I was writing this, maybe I would say, I am from messiness. I am from happiness. I am from craziness. Those are some adjectives, some descriptions of the place where I grew up. You can also say some more things. Couches, exactly. Furniture, beds, the television, Martha says. That's a great suggestion. Other things or descriptions of where you're from. The next line is activities. So activities about where you're from. So if you grew up in a house where you cooked a lot, you could say, I am from cooking. I am from farming, Martha says. That's a great suggestion. I am from farming. Other activities that remind you of things you did growing up. Okay? The next thing is some more favorite things from home. So some food, some stories, anything you want. This one is really broad. You can pick anything you want. I'm from the Midwest, so I ate a lot of casseroles as a kid. That's what I would say. I am from casseroles. Maybe you have a particular dish that reminds you of where you grew up. Maybe you have a particular story you would like to tell on this little line. Anything you want. Then the next line is a tradition. So if you celebrate a particular holiday, I am from Christmas, I am from Hanukkah, I am from Halloween, I am from Eid, anything you want. You can also say a tradition that is not a holiday. Maybe it's something that you and your family did. Maybe it's something you and your friends do. Anything that's important that you've done at home. The second to last line is a place, an important place. I am from an important place that means a lot to you. Maybe this is your grandmother's house. Maybe this is where you worked. Maybe this is somewhere that you've been to a lot. Any place that's really important to you. And then the last line is a phrase or a saying or something you believe that reminds you of home. So maybe you could say something that your parents told you, something you say to your children, something that reminds you of what people say where you're from. My example would be, I would say, let's think. My saying would be, did you eat? Because that's what my parents would say to me all the time. Did you eat? Did you eat? Did you eat? Okay, does that make sense? Something that people would say to you that really reminds you of where you're from. Does that make sense, Gina? And everyone else? Yeah? Jenny asked in the chat if I have pictures. I don't have pictures of those things. I can send some out to you guys as a reference if you would like that. But I don't, Gina. I mean, Jenny, sorry. Okay, Gina says good. Okay, are there any other questions, or does any classrooms want me to repeat anything? I'm going to stop sharing my screen again so I can see you guys. Martha gave me a great idea, guys. I'm going to fill this out super quickly, just really quickly, and then I'm going to read it to you so you can listen and kind of understand, okay? So hang tight for like 1 minute and I'll read it to you. Okay, everyone. I'm going to read you this little worksheet that I just filled out so you can get an idea of what you want to write. Okay? So this is My I Am From by Olivia. Ready? I am from Wisconsin. I am from Pam and Lang. I am from supermarkets and libraries. I am from loud music and laughter. I am from cooking and walking. I am from casseroles and freshly picked apples. I am from Halloween and Valentine's Day. I am from my grandmother's living room and the park next door. I am from Did You Eat and Goodnight Moon. Okay, so there's my example. So that kind of gives you a sound that you can imagine how your poem will sound when it's done. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, I see a thumbs up from Gina. Good. Any other questions before I let you guys finish this up on your own? Okay, I'll go ahead and end our meeting. You guys can write this at whatever pace you want and have fun, okay? This is a poem that you're writing about yourself. So it's a fun activity. Take it easy. I hope you have a good time remembering things that you love and that remind you of home. This is a poem about you, okay? Nobody else but you. So take your time and have fun. Thanks everyone for listening. I really appreciate it. Bye.